More than 4 years ago, Senator Webb and I began to advocate for the creation of the Wartime Contracting Commission. At the time, I was inspired by Missouri's own Harry Truman, who as a senator headed a committee that investigated and uncovered millions of dollars of war profiteering, fraud, and wasteful spending in World War II. Senator Webb and I agreed that what we needed was a new investigatory body to honor the Truman Committee, to protect our tax dollars, and bring better accountability to the way we do business while at war. You know, we use the cliche saying, well, they would spin in their grave or they would turn over in their grave. Harry Truman has been spinning for some time now, and he would be astounded at what this commission found. It is shocking that the commission has, in fact, validated in many ways our worst concerns about the way contracting was ongoing in contingency. It is disgusting to think that nearly a third of the billions and billions we spent on contracting was wasted or used for fraud. Frankly, I really believe that estimate is very, very conservative. And it doesn't even begin to include the money wasted on projects that can't be sustained. Shortly after I came to the Senate, I took a trip to Kuwait and Iraq on contracting oversight. I asked not to see what most senators went when they went to theater, but I just wanted to focus on the way that we were overseeing contracts. I particularly wanted to hone in on the log cap contract, the logistical support contract that had been the subject already of a lot of negative headlines about the way we'd done business. It was a massive cost-plus contract, non-compete, that was supposed to provide all of the logistical support for our men and women that were serving us in Iraq. I sat in a small room in a building on the outskirts of Baghdad, while many, many people in the room had lots of rank and were military. One woman who was a civilian clearly was the knowledgeable one about the log cap contract. It was an awkward set of questions and answers because clearly I was asking very tough questions. I could not for the life of me understand how this thing had gotten so out of control. The moment I will never forget as long as I live is when I began to feel, you know, when you're pounding a witness on the stand as a prosecutor, you know when you need to let up, or sometimes you do, sometimes I didn't, but I kind of knew I needed to give this woman a break because, you know, all these guys were sitting in the room and men and women were sitting in the room and she was really being called on the carpet for the way that this contract had been overseen. And so she had a bar graph and the requisite PowerPoint that is required in every military briefing. There was a bar graph that showed the expenditures on the log cap contract. And it had started out at a number I can't recall now, but in the billions and billions and billions. And the next year it had dropped 2 or 3 billion. And then it had kind of leveled out. So I'm trying to throw her a bone. And I say, well, would you mind telling me, you've left out of your presentation, how did you get the cost down the second year? As God is my witness, she looked at me across the table and she said, I have no idea, it was a fluke. At that moment, I knew that this was something that had gone terribly bad in terms of contracting oversight. We must know why we are contracting, who we contract with, and what we are paying for a particular service or function. It's not complicated. Believe it or not, those 3 simple tests were not met in most instances of contracting in Iraq. It is shameful that despite the great work of the Commission and the community of auditors and inspectors general who have reviewed these contracts, that we don't know and may never know these simple things about the contracts that have been awarded in Iraq and Afghanistan. If the Commission's report becomes one more report sitting on someone's bookshelf, then we have failed as a Congress, and we have failed our military and the people of this great nation. This is our chance. This is our chance to tell the American people that the government can spend their money wisely, hold people accountable who are entrusted with contracting in contingencies, and make sure that the men and women in the military and civilian agencies get what they need to do their job.